If you're planning to buy a home soon, there's a change that you need to know that can actually cost you big monies at the time of closing.
We're Chad and Aalia Scott here with eXp Realty here in Kenosha. We're your go-to realtors. If you have any questions at all about buying, selling, relocating, or investing, give us a call at 262-331-1621 or visit our website at chadscottrealty.com. We're ready to help you anytime that you're ready. Now let's dive into it.
There's been a lot of talk about the buyer's agents and how and who pays them. So don't worry, this doesn't mean that you'll suddenly be left alone in the process. Today we'll explain what's changing, what it means for you, and how to plan accordingly so there is no surprises.
So traditionally, how it's always worked is that the sellers always pay for both agents at closing. They pay for the seller's agent and for the buyer's agent. So really the buyer's agent is kind of free to you, the buyer. You're not paying for your own agent. However, back in 2024, there was a lawsuit saying that they need to decouple the buyer and seller's agent from the seller. The seller shouldn't pay for both agents. The buyer should pay for their agent and the seller should pay for their agent. So there are two separate transactions basically happening. And now we're seeing this actually happen in some parts of the country.
So this was actually baked into the sales price, meaning that the commissions for both sellers and buyers, the sellers kind of agreed upon a solid percentage that would eventually be split between the two agents. So buyers rarely thought about it by paying for their agents. It may actually made the home buying process feel like free from an agent standpoint, but now it's shifting. And here's how it's shifting.
So what happens when we go on a listing appointment with the seller is that we talk to the seller about our commission, what we're going to get paid as a listing agent, and what the seller is going to pay us. We talk a little bit about the buyer's agent commission. We say, you know what, the buyer's agent is going to ask for you to pay their commission at closing, and that's totally negotiable. It's up to you as the seller as to whether or not you want to pay them at all, their asking commission, or if you just want to say, you know what, we don't want to pay your commission at all. We want your buyer to pay your own commission. That's all negotiable because everything in an offer is all negotiable at all times. And we're starting to see that slowly start to creep up in our market. I'm seeing some new listings come up in our market where they're saying that the seller is not offering any concessions at all, which means that the seller is not going to pay the buyer's agent anything at all. So there are some pros and cons to this. The cons are that if you're not going to pay the buyer's agent commission, the buyers will most likely just look past your house and go to another house where the seller is going to pay a buyer's agent commission.
Or oftentimes the buyer's agent is going to convince the client not to see this house or not offer that property as one of the listings for that buyer. Because in the end, we are showing houses for free essentially because we don't get paid until a closing of a house, regardless if it's a buyer or a seller side. So that is going to hurt that seller because of the fact that it's not being shown or not actively pushed upon the buyer's clients.
And a lot of times buyers just don't have the extra funds to pay their own buyer's agent at closing.
So this not being offered the concession, it actually, like we kind of mentioned, it was stemmed from a legal proceeding that actually changed the real estate in the process last year. 2024 was August of 2024. Not only do you have to sign a buyer's agency agreement in order to see these properties, but along with it, that the buyer's agent, you are to pay your buyer's agent if the seller does not offer the concession within the contract. And we're starting to slowly see that the last few negotiations. And the thing is, like, that doesn't mean the sellers are completely opting out of paying for the buyer's commission. We still are still seeing sellers still offer a co-broke commission, but it's not always guaranteed.
Not offering a buyer's commission is pretty common in other parts of our country and other countries as well. Areas such as like Washington and New York, the buyer already pays their own agent separate from what the seller pays. So this is not new at all in real estate. This is very common even here in the US. It's just new to us. When this whole thing happened, everybody thought that the sky was going to fall down. They thought that real estate was going to collapse on itself. Real estate real estate was going to have to reinvent itself. But we're adapting, we're pivoting, and real estate is still happening just like it always has.
And strategizing with our clients as well. So like the real estate trends, we usually see it on the outskirts of our nation and slowly move into the Midwest. And this is where we are at right now. It's starting to take over the Midwest. And we are strategizing, we are pivoting. I hate that word after COVID, but it actually truly means something now.
So what does this mean for buyers? Aalia, what are some tips that we have for buyers? What does this mean for them?
So one of the options is the sellers actually just paid the full commission. Still common, still a majority of our sellers are still paying the co-broke for both agents kind of thing. However, there's another option, and what is that option?
So where the seller pays partial commission. Maybe the seller says, you know what? I don't want to pay the full commission for your buyer agent. I'll pay half of it, and then you, the buyer, you bring in the other half of your buyer agent commission. Then we're also seeing where the sellers just say, you know what? I don't want to pay any of your buyer agent commission. You get to pay your buyer agent totally by yourself as the buyer.
So one of the strategies that we are seeing that actually kind of works, the buyers are able to roll the agent's fees into their loan. So thereby they have to increase that offer by X amount of commission amount so that they're still paying their buyer's agent so that the seller is still getting away with their bottom line at closing. So upping their offer into their loans, thereby cutting that amount of commission and still paying for their agent as well. And remember, the agents are not working for free. This is their livelihood.
So as an example, if the commission for your buyer agent was $5,000, you would up your offer price for a house by $5,000 and just roll that into your loan. And the seller would still pay that at closing, and your agent would still get paid that way.
Exactly. Another tip is the importance of discussing this upfront with your agent and lender to make sure you are prepared for the possibility of upping your offer and making that loan an increase in that loan. And unfortunately, that will increase your monthly payment for your mortgage just slightly. However, just kind of being in communication with both lender and agent from the get-go.
So Aalia, when we start working with a buyer, we have them sign something called a buyer agency agreement that kind of goes over a little bit of this stuff. So what does that explain to them, and why is that important?
So the buyer's agency agreement that you are required to sign once you are showing or seeing the houses is kind of like you're hiring us as your agent. You can even sign a one-day agreement. Even that one-day agreement that we show you that house, we bring you to that house, you are thereby our clients, and you're agreeing to pay our commission at a certain amount of percentage that we have placed on that contract. So if you, let's say, sign that one-day agreement, we find your dream home, and then you put it in your offer, you are required to pay for our commission. It's pretty much just kind of giving you a heads up, so there is all transparency from the get-go, and there's no like behind the scenes down low message that you are not aware of. So
it's kind of like a listing contract between you and the buyer.
So you deserve the professional representation, especially the market's this competitive. You definitely need to make sure you have a plan in place.
And just keep in mind, we've seen some people who just say, you know what, I'll just go to the selling realtor and use them instead. That is definitely a strategy. However, you want to keep in mind that selling realtor is working for the seller. The seller is always their number one client. Even if you go to them as the buyer, the seller is still their number one client. You're just their secondary client.
So why having an agent still matters, Chad?
So an agent protects your interests. Like I said, the agent's working on your side. They're working to negotiate for your best interests. They're working to make sure that you get the best deal, making sure that you're not overpaying for the house, and making sure that you have the most money in your pocket at the end of the day, and making sure that you just get the best house for you and your family.
And not only through negotiations and through the inspections as well, because the fact that we want to make sure you're seeing the major faults of the house before you purchase this thing, and going through the negotiations between the initial offer negotiation. We negotiate during the inspections and the appraisals if the appraisals come back low kind of thing, or even high. So you want to make sure you have an agent that kind of looks out for your best interest during the whole process as well.
Yeah, as an example, we had a buyer who wanted to waive their inspection contingency in their contract. We strongly advised them not to do that, and they ended up putting that in their contract. And it was a good thing that they did, because during the inspection they found a leaky roof that would have cost that buyer $15,000-$20,000 to fix themselves after they bought the house. We were able to get them the seller paid for half of it, and they got the buyer paid for half of it. They got like a credit for half of it. So they didn't have to pay for the whole roof themselves. So it worked out in the buyer's favor, actually.
And like with the agent and having your own agent, they actually are guidance people. They guide you through the financing and through the contingency and disclosures. And through the financing, the agent actually is in communications with the lender in constant communication during the whole process. So there's no bumps in the road, and if they do, they get the heads up, so you are prepared and get buffered a little bit. So
how do you prepare and budget for this? So you want to, when you put in an offer and you ask the seller, I want to buy this house, in that offer, you'll be asking the seller to pay your agent's commission. So you'll know before your offer is accepted whether or not the seller is going to pay the agent's commission or not. So you're never going to put an offer in blindly and be blindsided. All of a sudden the seller is not going to pay your agent's commission. You'll always know that before your offer is accepted. So if they decide not to accept your offer, they're going to have to send you a counter offer saying, I am or am not going to pay your buyer's agent fee, or only partial fee, whatever they're going to do.
Definitely talk to your lender. Make sure you can finance that increased percentage. In case you can't pay for the buyers or the sellers are not paying for the commission, make sure you can finance and afford that monthly mortgage payment for the increased price, because that is definitely one of our strategies, is to increase your offer price and roll it into your loan. Like I said, it's going to increase your mortgage, making sure that you can afford it every month. So,
and make sure you get clarity on those buyer agency agreements. A lot of agents just kind of breeze through those and don't really explain them to their buyers, but they are legally binding contracts, and they do have a lot of
legal jargon,
but they do actually mean a lot. And if you end up having to pay your own realtor yourself, sometimes realtors sneak little things in there that you don't realize. So make sure you read them and make sure that you are clear on what they actually mean for you as a buyer.
So the more you know, the smoother your experience will be in this whole process. So again, I really emphasize that communication piece at all parties in the process.
Yeah, make sure that your realtor is communicating with you, really clear with you. Make sure that you don't feel like your realtor is hiding anything from you. If you feel like they are hiding stuff from you, then it's probably time to find a new realtor.
So this is actually all new for all of us, and we are still currently learning as we go through every deal. But in the ultimate end, the goal hasn't really changed. Helping buyers find the right home and making the smart financial decisions. And it might feel different, but with the right information provided to you and the planning, you'll actually be fine.
So our job is to guide you through the whole process, whether it means helping you understand the commissions or finding creative ways to structure your offer to pay for our commission. Whatever it is, we're here to help you and guide you through the process. So we're Chan and Aalia Scott with eXp Realty. We have people just like you reaching out to us every single week looking to buy, sell, or invest here in the Kenosha area. So if you're ready to do that, make sure that you visit our website, chadscottrealty.com, grab one of our free guides, or reach out to us in the contact forms. We're happy to help you, and we hope that you have a fantastic rest of the day.
If you're planning to buy a home soon, there's a change that you actually need to know that can actually affect how much you pay at costing.
At costing?
Almost there.
At costing.
At costing, okay.
So what happens when we go on a listing commission is that we negotiate...
Listing commission?